All right. Hello, everybody. This is Charlie Miles. I'm your 1301 instructor for the fall 2020 semester. Um, Welcome to the class. I've only gotten to say that via text online at this point, but it's good to have you guys. Good to just be around for another semester, and I look forward to actually meeting you guys in person. We're doing the video today, just kind of posting it. One, just because I think it's probably all you need at this point. But I'm also trying to get the hang of things like Zoom and the other forms of conferencing. And when I get that together, learn how to schedule that and get you guys situated with that, and just make sure everybody can handle the same platform. Um, we'll start doing things as far as having some brief conferences online. I'll probably try to do it once a week, um, but we'll kind of take care of that as the semester goes on, in the hopefully in the next week or so. Um, and as far as that's concerned, I'm leaning towards Zoom as the platform. If that is a problem, let me know, or if you have a preference there, let me know. But I am leaning towards Zoom. Um, but we'll get you some updates on that. Um, Hopefully within a week. Um, so you'll see kind of a video like this, brief videos, hopefully no longer than 30 minutes, until that time, at least once per week, um, and maybe twice per week to kind of cover both the days of the class. But you'll get a heads up before any video gets posted. What I wanted to go through today was just a couple of the preliminary things, kind of introductory things with 1301, things that you probably have seen on the syllabus if you had a chance to look at that. But I did want to kind of go through our objectives, our learning objectives for 1301, and also the grading that we have, how the grade will be calculated, and also, um, some of the other kind of basic things like textbook and email, things like that. Um, and also, we'll cover our first writing assignment, and that's called a review. I think that the title of the little handout has the title of movie review, but we'll get into what that means. It doesn't, you don't have to write about a movie. You can write about a lot of different things. But that's our first writing assignment. Some of you guys have already emailed me that. I did receive it. And just in case you didn't get the email I sent this morning, um, if you did send me that review by email, um, uh, kind of put it on the Canvas, submit it through Canvas, through that official assignment, so that I can have all the papers in one spot so I can grade them more easily. And just that's something to kind of keep in mind. Most of our big assignments, especially outside papers, going to turn those in through Canvas, even when we get back on campus. So get in the habit of actually, kind of going through that process. It saves paper, and with the COVID-19 and everything, it kind of minimizes all the touching of materials from different hands. So much safer, and I think more efficient, probably, just to do most of our assignments, turn them into Canvas. And also, if you did write the review ahead of time, take into consideration what I might say today, and also what's written in the current assignment sheet. I don't think it's changed from anything you may have previously seen, but kind of take into consideration the things that you hear today about that assignment, make any changes that might be necessary if you feel they're necessary. If you're comfortable with what you got, I would happily take it, but just kind of keep that in mind. Also, I guess I should mention before I get into anything else, check the syllabus again, or check the Learning Web, that course materials page where it has the calendar. I mentioned this in email as well. The dates and everything was adjusted to kind of reflect where we are after my kind of false alarm evacuation for the hurricane thing. We have that, kind of a week lapse in some of the dates, so I kind of adjusted those, so the due dates and everything should be correct, or they might change again, who knows, but it's they kind of reflect where we are now, so we should kind of, if everything goes well, we should kind of stay on schedule. And on that calendar, you'll see kind of the first module of our class, if you will. It kind of ends after our first major paper. You'll see, additions to that calendar as we move through the different sections, modules of the class. All right, so we'll get into the learning objectives. I'll be brief with this because a lot of you probably have kind of gone over it, or it may be something that you skipped over on the syllabus. I don't know. I know we tend to skim syllabi instead of reading all through them, and this is something that you could afford to kind of gloss over. But I did want to kind of go through a little bit of it just to give you a sense of what we'll be focusing on throughout 1301. And I don't think any of this is a surprise, but it is important to kind of cover it. But our learning objectives for 1301, and this is kind of across the board in all of HCC's English classes. So this is kind of what one of the core things that everybody at this point is learning or trying to kind of practice. Number one, and if you're watching this video, it may help to get the syllabus in front of you, kind of go through it with me. But number one, under learning objectives, demonstrate the ability to coherently analyze, divide a text into rhetorical parts, name the parts, identify examples that illustrate each part, and evaluate the contribution of each in one or more essays. My screen went dark. I don't know if I went dark, but I'm still here. But they talk about in that first objective, learning how to analyze texts, and we'll do that right from the jump. And that in that number one, they give you some kind of hints as to what that word analyze entails. You're dividing a text into rhetorical parts. You're kind of identifying those parts. You're pointing to examples that illustrate the things that you identify. So analysis will be a big deal. And even from our first writing assignment, before you even got into the book or anything like that, you're already kind of doing that in some ways. You're already analyzing whatever it is you choose to write about in your review. And that type of thing is going to go with you with every essay that we write in this class. So analysis, learning how to do that, getting practice at doing that will be an objective that we have. Number two on that list, apply the basic principles of critical thinking, which are evaluation, analysis, and synthesis in written essays that persuade or argue. Critical thinking being the key in number two here. You'll read in chapter one about that type of thing. Chapter one talks about critical reading, and it talks about critical thinking in great detail, and it involves things like evaluation, meaning judging the value of something, judging the merits of a particular work or an argument. It also involves analysis and synthesis, and we'll talk about those things. And those three words are mentioned, verbatim in chapter one as kind of critical aspects of critical thinking, to be redundant. And that'll be something I want you to kind of focus on. You may even be asked a question about those things in a quiz form. But thinking critically will be something we kind of encourage you to do in this class, and really kind of look at the complexities of arguments. Think about multiple perspectives of an argument. Just think critically about something, meaning to kind of dig a little deeper. And they give you a definition of critical reading there in chapter 1. I think what they say about critical reading kind of applies with the idea of critical thinking as well. Just thinking kind of deeper than just the surface. Kind of looking, reading in between the lines, quote unquote. Number 3, distinguish fact from fiction in others' writing, and evaluate whether they prove their points or whether they can be appropriately used as sources in documented papers. Another kind of carryover from critical thinking, distinguishing fact from fiction, kind of picking apart a person's argument, evaluating whether or not they're really making a strong case. I'll encourage you to do that. You'll see a lot of discussion questions that you get about readings from the course, where I'm intentionally kind of pushing you to kind of really think about whether or not this author is making a sound argument, and kind of talking about why you feel the way you feel about it, and distinguishing fact from fiction. You'll see a lot of readings in this class that are, they have a certain slant, certain bias. The author feels strongly one way about that subject, and you'll be asked to kind of, either directly or just through writing a paper about it. You'll be asked to kind of, distinguish whether or not this person is stating real facts, or they're kind of coloring it with their own, whatever political persuasion or whatever, to kind of make it kind of twist the argument a little bit. And I think when you start doing the readings, you'll understand what that means. You'll be able to get a clear bias. You'll kind of see a clear bias in some of the readings. Not that that's always necessarily a bad thing. Number 4, research and write documented papers using MLA style. That should come as no surprise to you guys. You're going to write some papers in this class. And we kind of already got you looking at one right now. And get used to that. That's going to happen a lot. We're looking at about, in the area of 5,000 total words that you'll write officially in this class. Hopefully that doesn't sound too daunting for you guys. I promise you it'll come to you. But writing, researching, writing papers is a big deal, and kind of another key of number 4 there. You're going to be doing the research part of it and documenting those sources using MLA style. I would say, even right now, if you're not familiar with MLA style, Modern Language Association, become familiar with that. Go to, it's sources on the internet that we'll get into that can really break that down for you, and I'll kind of give you a crash course in that throughout the semester. But with the exception of this first paper, all of our major essays, out of class written essays, I'll ask you to document in MLA style as best you can. And eventually when we get to around to writing a major paper, I'll make that documentation a mandatory thing that affects your grade, because it is really, really important that you do that to establish where you're getting these sources, giving credit to the people that contributed to your paper, and staying away from the dreaded plagiarism. And so that's a big deal, the documentation part. And this is something that will hit you up with in English, but it's something that kind of lays a foundation for the rest of your college experience. Every paper you write, you're going to want to be mindful of the documentation style. Number 5, find and evaluate library books, journals, magazines, or databases to find information on a topic or issue. And kind of carry over from number 4, the research part. We won't be heavy on this in 1301, but you'll always hear me encourage you to kind of look beyond your primary topic or your primary reading that you're drawing from to find other sources. And they give you a list of resources to look for. I believe on our Canvas page, there's kind of a link to the online library database. If I don't have that, hit me up and we'll kind of take care of that. But obviously, you have a lot of resources at your fingertips. As an older guy, I'm kind of jealous of how easy information is to come by with you guys. So it's imperative that you kind of make the best use of that, and I'll encourage you to do that. And that's also kind of something that's for 1301 is kind of laying the foundation for 1302, other English classes, for you to kind of become accustomed to doing that research, making use of those that well of information that you have out there. And then number 6, expand the scope, confidence, creativity of written expression. I'll kind of encourage you to obey the rules of writing. I'll talk about different rules that you need to follow. But I'll give you those rules so that you can essentially break those rules. I give you those rules so you can kind of have a foundation to where you can kind of express yourself. And I'll always kind of encourage, that creativity, that confidence in your own voice. I'll always kind of encourage you to kind of put your voice in your writing, and express what you have to say. And you can, you'll have certain freedom as far as how to handle topics, how to, what topics to write about. I'm always kind of open to topics that may come to mind that may not be listed on the list of readings or whatever. And I kind of encourage that. I want you to learn some of the things that we teach in 1302 so that you can be free, find your own voice as a writer. All right, grading. And so those are learning objectives for the course. Again, those are things that you may not have studied this when you looked over the syllabus, but these are things that we want to kind of accomplish as we go through the semesters, and things we hope that sticks with you as you go forward beyond 1301. All right, so the grading part, that is on your syllabus somewhere. And I don't know what page it's on, but I believe of the things that I probably forgot to include on there, I think I did get the grading part. And you can see it's pretty simple. You got 3 major papers that we'll get into. One is mentioned on your syllabus. One is mentioned on your current calendar. Kind of ends our first module. That's the critical response essay. You'll also have a rhetorical analysis, we'll call it. We'll explain what that means at some point. It'll be very similar to the first major paper. That third major paper, I think we're gonna go with a narrative essay, and that may not be listed, but ultimately you'll have 3 bigger papers, and we're talking 1,200 words or more for each. Those count for, in all, 60% of the final grade, so 20% each. You'll have 3 or 4, depending on how time goes, shorter papers that we're calling short academic responses. Those all together add up to 10% of your grade. And this first paper, the review, kind of falls into that category. Then you have quizzes, or quizzes and kind of smaller tests. You probably have 2 of those. Those count for 10% in all, and you'll have a midterm exam and a final exam, which are also both 10%. And if that is not listed correctly on the syllabus, I'll kind of correct that. But be sure to take note of that, and any changes that may come with that, we'll kind of let you know. But just that's kind of a rough kind of explanation of how the grade is going to be calculated. I almost asked for questions, but no one's here but me. Okay, so I'll get into the last thing for today, and then we'll kind of conclude things here. That first essay and posted, kind of let you guys know via email and put the assignment there under the list of assignments, and I believe it is published there on Canvas. I'll go through that handout or that post real quick. I'm holding a copy of it here. And again, movie review. I'll kind of get into how that's a bit of a misnomer, but I guess it sounds good as a title. Due dates for this, we're looking at September 8th, which is a week from today, for the Tuesday, Thursday class, and then September 11th for our Friday and Saturday people. So take note of that. And all the way up until that time, I'm open for questions and comments or any guidance that you may need for that assignment. All right, so we'll go through the handout real quick. You're reviewing a movie or a book or an episode of a TV show, good or bad, that you've seen at some point in your life. And so I list movies, books, TV. But there are other things that you could talk about. You can talk about a product. You can review the latest iPhone, or a video game would really work. And all kinds of things you can review that kind of fit in this category. If you have something that you really want to write about, it doesn't fall on this list, or something I didn't mention, just run it by me. It will probably be okay. But just make sure it's something legitimate, something that you are knowledgeable about, to where you can talk a lot about it. And so that whatever it is should be okay. I list the movies and stuff like that because it's those things are kind of commonly reviewed, and there are things that you can. There are a lot of examples that you can go by. So the category that you choose is a lot more broader than it seems on the surface here. I ask that you choose an actual feature, an actual product, legit product or whatever, and that you're truly familiar with the content, so that your review will have sufficient detail. And I kind of read what I just said previously, but I want you to be familiar with it. I want you to be comfortable talking about it, being able to really get into detail about it, that kind of thing. If it's a movie, I want you to be, I would want you to have seen it either recently or multiple times, so it's fresh in your mind, and you can really talk about it. So you can really kind of point to the particulars in it. Next paragraph on there, quickly. This is a This is a diagnostic writing assignment, meaning that it will be used to gauge your writing level, as well as to help you get your feet wet as we delve into other areas of reading, writing, and recognizing rhetorical strategies. Typo notwithstanding, what I'm saying there is this assignment is something that I'm kind of using to get your kind of get a sense of where you are as a writer. It is not something I'm going to grade viciously, but I do plan on kind of reading it, seeing where we are, seeing if it kind of calls for any adjustments down the line as far as what we emphasize with the course. So kind of a pretty much low pressure type of assignment. So kind of just do the best you can, and use the skills that you have so far. And I say it here as well. This also means there are no strict guidelines as to how you structure your review. Respond to your movie in the best way you see fit, using the skills you've already obtained. And I say that a sample review has been provided for you, and I kind of didn't put that on the handout, but you will get a sample review, and I'll be posting that later today being the 1st of September, Monday. But I'm not going to tell you got to structure it a certain way. I do recommend trying to organize it with as formal an organization as you can. Try to put an introduction there. Try to get a thesis statement in there. Try to get a body and a conclusion. But you try to structure it in the most practical way that you know how. But I won't kind of put some kind of strict guideline on you there. So do the best you can. Use the skills you have. And then we got 2 required components, and this is the only kind of mandatory thing that we're putting on you with the review. One, we want you to summarize if it's a movie, summarize the movie's plot. And I guess if depending on what you write about, you want to describe the product in detail, or you want to describe your experience with the product, or if you're reviewing a restaurant, kind of describe the service and the food, or that kind of thing. Go into detail about your experience with whatever you're reviewing. And you want to, if it's a movie, and kind of put a lot of things in the handout in the movie context. If it's a movie, kind of talk about the things that are happening in the movie. Describe the plot and everything, without giving every detail. Kind of decide what things are important for the reader to know, and kind of put that in your summary, so that you can kind of get some practice in kind of deciding what's important. That's one thing that this assignment is trying to get you some practice in, the art of summarizing, and also. I don't want you to spoil the movie for me, because I might not have seen it, and I might want to check it out. So it's really important to kind of give enough detail without giving everything away. The other part that's kind of required in this, as far as components of the review, very simple: a response to the whatever product you're describing it, you're summarizing it, then you're giving your take on it, your opinion on it. And on here I say your detailed response to the content of the movie. Be specific in your response, point to particulars, and if we are talking about a movie, the details, the specifics are things like the acting, the cinematography, the music, things like that. Certain things that you can talk about that really give the reader a specific sense of what you thought about the movie. So those 2 components are simply your description, your summary, and your response to it, and try to organize those things as best you can. And also at the bottom of that post, we're asking for, I think, some very simple kind of formatting issues for the paper. Try to get at least 500 words. Try to confine it with 800 words, or try to confine it to 800 words. I won't object if you go beyond 800, though. Double space. This will be a kind of a standard thing for every essay. Try to double space between each line. And this is kind of, I guess, in the age of paper, this kind of made it easier for teachers to kind of comment and things like that. But it also kind of makes the reading of it a little bit easier. When in a long form piece like that, double spacing really helps. I'm not going to be a super stickler with the type of font, but I do recommend Times for our font choice, and default margins, meaning the regular margins on either side of the text. And maybe even the post that I put up there is kind of an example of that, but I may be wrong about that. But the type of thing where the page kind of looks this way, where you see the margins have that standard size. All right. Also, one detail I may have glossed over, to back up to the beginning of that handout. I mentioned TV, and I know a lot of people would want to write about TV. I would say, with TV, try to confine it to an episode or a season of television. I would rather you do that, because you have kind of a confined space to talk about, and you can describe more and get into more details, because you don't have to cover so much ground, as opposed to talking about a whole series kind of thing. like, Breaking Bad. You can isolate an episode or a season and kind of talk about a lot of things in detail. Whereas if we try to talk about all 6 seasons of that show, you kind of be all over the place. Excuse me. All right. So I believe that is everything I wanted to cover, and I probably went a little long in the video. But if you have any questions, you can kind of maybe comment on this post if I put it in the right place, or email me at the HCC email or through the Canvas inbox. I don't have a preference. I check both of those regularly. And I also should mention, as we kind of close this thing out, textbook. Everything's an argument. Bedford Reader, 4th edition. And they should be available in your bookstore. Keep me updated about that. And this is a book that I've used for last year, so there should be used copies out there, Amazon, things like that. I think I goofed up on the ISBN. I may have gotten that number wrong, but that's not something that I think you need to worry about. If it's the Bedford Reader 4th edition, you should be okay. 14th edition, you should be okay. Also, I mentioned contact method. I think I already kind of mentioned that with having questions, but charlie.miles@hccs.edu, or just through the Canvas inbox. Like I said, either is fine. I do check both regularly, but let me know if you have any questions. And wishing everybody well for this semester. It's really kind of looking forward to getting back out in the world and getting to see you guys hopefully in the next 5 weeks or so. And if there is nothing else that I'm forgetting to say, well, I guess I'll talk about the next time you see a video here. I guess for my people seeing this on Tuesday, you probably will see another post, hopefully shorter than this, on Thursday, and we'll talk about chapter 1 in your textbook. And you don't necessarily have to have the textbook. I'll try to have some kind of either a post with a list of things that we want to emphasize to go along with the video, or maybe a PowerPoint kind of thing like that. But it'll be kind of basics from chapter 1. It talks about critical reading, and there's some kind of important stuff in that chapter going forward. So we'll cover some of that, and probably a video that is much shorter than this one. But in the meantime, kind of look over chapter 1, and I guess also be thinking about what you might want to write about with the review. I'm thinking at this point we probably can't go to the movies, or we're too afraid to go to the movies. I think they've opened up movies now, but I know a lot of us are not going to be going. But do kind of think about what you want to write about. Seeing a movie might be a kind of a cool thing to kind of do as an academic exercise. And there are a lot of good ones out there. If you're in need of a recommendation for that, another thing you can kind of email me about. But that is something that kind of what your subject might be is something to kind of think about even right now. And also for the next class period, Thursday for the Tuesday folks, and I guess Saturday for my Friday people. You'll need to kind of at least look over some of the points in chapter 1. All right, that's it. We'll talk to you guys soon. God bless, and stay safe. And again, let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Take care.